ask any recent experiences, want to share stuff, since you were here last, new awareness, new fun things?
I do feel like, I've tried to put more mindfulness into day to day. It's like you go through waves, and it's like on your radar, and then it goes away, and you're like, oh no, I'm freaking out over nothing. Just this week, I had a bad dream, and I woke up and I was just like, that fight or flight, like you're just terrified, and I literally was like, oh, I'm good, I'm okay. I'm in my bed. It was a dream. So I feel like in the past, it has taken me longer to like regulate my emotions if I have a bad dream.
Yeah.
So I was kind of, proud of myself for being able to say like, oh no, it's okay. And then just breathe and take some deep breaths and get through it. And I track like my sleep with my Aura ring, and I could see the spike in my heart rate, but then I could also see the down trend like really quickly too. So I was super excited about that, and I felt like that was a win.
Oh, that's very much.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm going to use that one a little bit in a moment here. Anything recent, Barb? Besides all of that.
Yeah, and you get to hear firsthand when exciting things happen for me. And then I forget them.
Yeah. Okay.
And just means so much.
Yeah, if something pops up later, That's what you just shared is such a good example. Mindfulness is when we just somehow remember and do whatever we do that works. It's not these words, it's not the practices we're taught, but it's the fact that you were, I can deal, and you had a way. That's the real mindfulness, not the story about it. And again, I like the simple, and I like to emphasize that it's about living in a more peaceful and happy mind and adventure. So thank you.
Yeah,
Perfect example. Well, I'm thinking today to start looking at what I'll call models and programs a little bit. But please, if it pulls to somewhere else, and you just jump right in. I used to say in group, I only teach because if I don't, they'll start talking about rigatoni. But it's open for people sharing. Yeah. As we start to wake up, our human animal self can actually panic at times because it sees its whole frame of reference that it's very sure about, even though it's self-contradictory most of the time, it's rigid. And when it begins to see it's getting illuminated, it gets nervous, and it can rebel all kinds of ways, from being a brat to being angry to just dismissing. So the model we've used, of course, is the true self or natural self versus, and also the animal self. That the animal self, it runs on programs. It's the brain of the animal was built to be programmable, and it's a cool, very cool creation. The problem is, it's say, we as a human, me, are about 95% programmed. And when we go off looking, I'm going to find myself from a psychological point of view. What we do is get all these different programs bubble up, and like you say, moods and waves, and we're sorting through all those to find out who we are. And what mindfulness will say very rudely is, no, none of those are who we are. Those are programs we have, but who are we that has programs is what we're looking for to find our natural self, which I also call the good. And I use that because it summarizes the nature of our natural self is just to look out. It sees beauty, curious, I wish you well, what's going on for you? And so by looking for that kind of feeling, which is not emotional, it can't really be defined in psychological terms. But some of us use it more mentally, some of us use it more emotionally because it comes through. But behind it is just that space of, I just want things to be good for me and for you. And that's kind of a target or a clue we can always look for. So programs also include all our reactions, what people call triggers, habits, and then of course all the processes we've adopted on purpose to regulate our life, like setting an alarm clock to get up in the morning to go to work, or in our case, to go to prayer. But once we feel more and more identified with who we are as this, who knows what, just having this adventure in this body with all its quirks and programs, the easier it is, like your example gave, to just step back to, all right, what's going on here? What am I doing? What do I need? And as you showed, 90% of the time we really don't need anything. We just need to address what was triggered. Because a program, some of them literally can go back to when we're 2 years old, when we were being trained as a toddler. And we have no clue that that's a program. We say, that's the way I am. Well, the good news is most programs aren't harmful, and we don't need to bother trying to change everything. I do not find it useful, a lot of the more fanatic Zen teachings or the Eastern, it's like, oh no, you got to become this certain kind of calm person that counts every footstep you take and every breath. That's how they want to do it, and that's cool. Right. But mindfulness is about living this life adventure we came into. Now, how can I live it more peacefully, more happily, and in that sense, more successfully? So, a common misidentification due to programs are these very old ones that go way back, and you can spot them when you say things like, well, I'm an American, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm whatever, we don't realize how strongly those programs lock us down. And likewise, they create a lot of conflict with other people. Because for one, if I say, I'm an American, so I believe in social justice and equity for all. And someone else says, I'm an American, I believe in being a hateful, patriarchal bigot. That's American. So the point is, any label I give myself, even a diagnosed label like, ADHD or anything, the label is harmful because I attempt to fit some definition. I will automatically, that's part of the animal nature, to integrate with the tribe. And so we just begin to see these overall ways that our mind works here. And that's what I mean by models. It's not trying to precisely sort all this out, but it's like, all right, there's a better part of me, and I can see this part of me, and I build little models however I do that for me to see and work with. But the the sense of programming is our biggest impediment to awakening. Those are all the things that come up. We get preoccupied with something comes up, the car breaks down, and suddenly we're off into this chaotic day because, well, then there's this and there's that, and you know, it takes a while just to build new habits, like catching your dream, that I can catch all these moods, and none of them are valid to me anymore, except I'd rather be at peace. Yeah, I gotta make a phone call to get the car fixed. Okay, so what? And that's what brings us to the very rudest phrase for speeding up awakening. As I develop my ability to say to myself, so what? Oh, I'm gonna die in 30 seconds. Okay, so what? It's the willingness to drop back to my peace to deal, no matter how panicked or urgent, important the brain says it is. And important is another clue to a program. It's important, which means now I gotta go into my program for dealing with what's important. What's more important than dealing with everything in peace, joy, and love? Well, no, that's important. I don't have time for that crap. See, you know, recognizing the program is not sorting them out and giving them labels and identifying, oh, yeah, I remember my dad said when I was 3, you may get those awarenesses, but it's developing this habit of, I feel myself being yanked out of my peace, my body's going into contraction, and it's like, aha, there's something I can look at. And it's just day by day, moment by moment, deciding to look for awareness with that moment. That's the summary of the idea for today.
It's a lot of unlearning.
Yes.
I found because you know you do certain things because that's what you always saw, and you know I had to kind of shift, and especially my parenting style. I'm like, okay, what do I want my kids to see, because it's what they'll do.
Yeah.
You know, and my son said something this morning that really resonated with me. We were talking about football, and I said, you know, how do you feel about your team? He said, I feel good about my team. I said, do you think you guys will win some? And he said, Mom, we could do everything right and still not win a single game. And I was like, it just was like, oh, you know, and the fact that he was at peace with that, knowing like it's okay if we don't win.
That's
we could do
awesome.
Everything right, and we still may not win the game, but it's okay. So, like I tell you, my kids teach me something, bring me some light bulb every day. So.
Yeah.
But it's so, I think back on things, and it's like as small as, why do I use Scott's toilet paper? Because my grandma used it.
Yeah.
You know, no other reason other than that's what we always did. Why do you use like Dawn dish detergent? Because that's what she used, you know? So it's like what was in your house, you tend to do those things and continue those similar to traditions.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of them, you just learn to laugh. I mean, you spot them. And it's like, okay, so I use Scott's toilet paper.
Right,
So
exactly.
but it's just, you mark it, that's a program.
Yes.
So if you go to the store and they're out of it, you don't have to have a panic attack.
Exactly.
You know?
You can pivot and use something
Yeah.
else. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. And, you know, again, the only real way we can bring this to our world is like your children being to you, we just be in a moment of a situation. And our piece in saying, okay, it's okay, is the teaching, not explaining it. Because most of the world doesn't, you know, as the Matrix says, they're not ready to wake up yet. And, but you never know.
Right.
When you just give a thought or a phrase, or just by not panicking, somebody may get just like you got from your kids, you know? So that's our fun job.
And even just a moment of comfort to someone else.
Mhm.
You know, I have a coworker that's always like on 10, and I'm always saying, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's their process. They're still trying to figure out processes. It is okay because our program is new.
Mhm.
So, you know, everything is just
Yeah.
crazy. And I'm like, you can only do what you can do. If it doesn't tell you how to do it, you're not going to know how to do it.
Yeah.
So you
It's not
getting in
you.
a tizzy, like, I'm like, you can't work yourself up behind this. So she calms down
Yeah.
for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next day she right back.
Yeah.
But I'm like, at least it's, you know, she's
Mhm.
starting to think, okay, and maybe something will stick,
Yeah.
and to where she'll be like,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
you know, I
Yeah.
don't have to, you know,
Yeah.
because she's also self-medicating with, you know, alcohol and those things because she's getting so stressed.
Yeah.
Or on the other hand, I have on another team, they're choosing to get like antidepressants and
Mhm.
different medications because of the job, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not that serious. Like,
Yeah.
I know if you need it, use it, you know.
Right.
Like, I'm a nurse, so I'm like, if you need it, use it. But I would never let something that I can change
Mm-hmm.
have me on a medication.
Yeah.
That, I guess that might be personal, but I just feel like I can change what I can change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the rest, you just have to
Just let it roll.
let it go. Yeah. Got
Cool.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, what came up for me that, and I think it fits in, is the challenge of me dealing with doctors
Yes.
and all the healthcare professionals, most of whom are wonderful
Right.
and nice. And there's a tendency towards, you know, well, this is a problem. And I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. Let's figure out what it is. But I'm not going to get riled up over it.
Right.
I've learned enough over the years to know that that doesn't do me or anyone else any good.
Because the stress
And-
will make it
yeah.
worse. Yeah.
And friends, family members, and so forth, there's the fear. What's going to happen to her? Look what she's going through now. I can't go there either. I can't accept what isn't yet.
Right.
Right. You know, if it happens, it happens, we'll deal with it. But it didn't happen yet. And so, so that's kind of been a challenge to moods and emotions that I really don't need
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and don't want, but they get triggered.
Mm-hmm. You're doing pretty good. managing all this, I'd say, given your circumstances. Good job.
And our minds are so powerful. So you having that
Yeah.
positive outlook and mindset
Mm-hmm.
makes a huge difference.
Mhm.
Because we can talk ourselves sick, honestly.
We can.
Yeah.
Right now there's some things going on in my belly.
Okay.
My sense of it is that healing is going on.
Right. I love
And
that.
I'll stick with that until I'm shown something different.
That's right. That's right.
You know, but that's if I am going to have an expectation, which I'd rather not have, I'd rather it be that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's another good topic. The mind here needs goals and, quote, expectations. But again, you keep it lightweight. You see it. And I know I do that myself. It's like, all right, I believe in the one life creative source and that it's using this lifetime for my awakening. That's like a core belief, but it's not a belief in words or any, it's just a feeling that always comes up in me that is so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I'm going to say that feeling is okay because I ride the day much better when I'm using that feeling for what's going on than if I'm, what's going on?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So it's weird because the brain always wants that proof or validated and our natural self doesn't live in that. It's a very different being, who we really are. It's so cool to begin discovering that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is, you know, it's been called big mind, capital M mind, consciousness, our soul, our spirit, who knows? All I know is, wow, when I can get back to there and be in the same situation and it's totally different, it's like, well, no, that's horrible, we have to. And it's like, no, it's horrible and we gotta do something, but it's okay. You're somebody else, and that's what our awakening takes us to, not new models and definitions, you know? It's very vague, but powerful for,
Yeah, we just recently were reading a Mary Oliver poem together. Are you familiar with her at all?
I've heard the name.
She's worth looking up, I think.
I will.
But there's one poem called The Summer Day. And basically the poem paints the picture of her just messing around in the grass and watching this grasshopper and wondering some big questions. And, you know, and you just get this feeling that there's no programs there.
right?
None. You know, she's just being.
Yeah.
And, yeah,
Yeah,
I like things like that.
that's cool. I had some new thoughts this week of living in a monastic structured environment is quite interesting in this awareness business. And the more I understand it and the more I reread the New Testament and what was going on at the beginning, the more I see it's all about this awakening. They just use very different words. But, for example, with the monastics, all of them started with one guy that couldn't stand the system anymore and went off on his own. And then other people said, oh no, if you're going to get away, I'm coming with you. And they're like, all right, but we're going to do this our way. And they wrote a rule. But the rule was like a guideline of how we're going to live. It's not rules as in, you know, school or at work. But when you look at those rules, their nonviolent communication is a requirement. that you be nice, you be friendly to everybody, fellow residents, guests, people. The other one is no special relationships. And that's hard on the ego at first. It's subtle, and it doesn't mean you got to get rid of your husband and kids. It means you don't elevate being kind to one person over or at the expense of being dismissive to another person.
That makes sense.
But in a monastery, that's amplified. So we have a vow of celibacy, both for the physical and romantic, to keep, because here you're dedicated to awakening, or they would say loving God, but it's the same thing. And there's rules like no meeting in private with people in your room of any sex matchup. It's not just about sexual, it's about that special relationship, you know? But it's just curious, the more I learn about this tradition, I always disliked the church and stuff growing up, the more I see that the mystics of it are just talking about the same growth through mindfulness that I brought in from a more Zen beginning. And it's just really cool, and I'm just reading where the Apostle Paul is lecturing at church on how to be decent human beings, basically is what he's saying, just don't do those things and do these things. So it's what you get if you go to the good in us, that's the way you would behave. And the same with Jesus' teachings, it's just, of course. And anyway, it just gets me excited whenever I see traces of awareness popping through. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. And for me, another fun thing was in deciding to take this vow of celibacy, and realizing with awareness, it's just a very simple switch. You're not fighting yourself, you're not giving up anything. You just make this decision somehow mindfully, and all that just settles. I mean, it can still be triggered for a second. You see someone, or have a memory, but then you just like I'm not playing that energy anymore, and it's no effort. It just has amazed me that it. And so I can take that example and apply it to when I really want to be mad about something. No, that's just an energy. Let me step back and find I call it the gateway thought. If you buy the gateway thought, you then open up the whole package. So, well, I'm not going to do that. Somehow awareness steps us back, and then we just say, okay, right there is where I want to go into it. No. And then that takes the power out of the program. That's what grows, is our personal development of things like that. Just sharing, it becomes more and more powerful, I find, as time goes on.
And I think about it from a woman's perspective, from both, as you get older, you're supposed to get more wiser, but from a woman, our hormones play a huge piece in us having even that desire for that type of intimacy. And so I went through menopause really, really early. So I had no hormones, and that part of I just had it didn't even matter anymore. So I feel like it's like our bodies are geared to, you're getting wiser, and that piece is falling away because it's not important. Because it's the different connections that are more important than necessarily that connection. So
that's well put. And if we, I can't teach it as mindfulness because it would be a goal, but I can share in our group that if we've accepted our basic purpose is to just wake up more. For whatever reason, we each decide, I want to be more peaceful, more kind, more loving, more helpful. And that's what, and then whatever the body's doing, okay, this is the vehicle I have to work with right now. But I've quit saying, oh, it's got to be in good physical shape. It's got to be able to still go jogging around the trails, or I'm failing. It's got to have the same hormones that you. Instead, you can just say, oh, look what it's doing now. What do I do with it now?
Yeah, because I mean, for women, our childbearing days end, and that's when the hormones shift, and it's like that purpose is not there anymore.
Yeah.
So it kind of all clicks
It
as
does.
to why, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. And there's, they've identified genetically at that age of menopause for women, and like similar in men, the midlife crisis stuff. There's actually a different gene set is turned off and a new one turned on. And then there's another similar operation that are in the early 60s, where we go from, zooming along pretty regular to suddenly things begin to change. And it may be for the better or worse, but for me, it was a crash in the body system began and continues. But when
I can attest to that too.
yeah.
Absolutely. I had a crash in my body system that caused havoc. I had a heart issue while hiking. I mean, I just had a list of things.
Yeah.
And literally, I didn't know that my hormones were out of whack
Yeah.
then. And it's like, through research and through like digging deeper, I'm the one that like had to put it all together, because it's
Yeah.
like the heart doctor just worried about the heart.
Right.
You know, so like he didn't think outside of the box at all to think about you as a whole person. He just looked at
Yeah.
you as your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So it just makes it more fun if we can accept these in
yeah.
a general purpose of, even if it's just, I get to wake up every day and
Exactly.
do some fun thing.
Yeah.
It can be that simple. We don't need
It's true.
a dedicated purpose, as in the brain wants to define a purpose. I gotta, I feel good.
Or even a very delicious day of staying in bed,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
being warm in those covers, and just,
Yeah.
That's right.
that happens now and then.
Yeah. And that's your purpose for the day.
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
And it's okay. Because, I mean, that's giving our bodies and ourself and our spirit and our
Yeah.
mind what it needs. And we neglect that. We push through and get up and do things, even though our body's like, no, today you need to rest.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
So, it's really back for a moment to where I said the brain can panic when these awakening. Whenever there's a shift pending to more awakening, it'll panic again. It's not something that we get done with, for me, so far. But to just remember that that's going to happen, and just like, oh yeah, there I am, I'm panicking about awakening again. And, developing that habit for every aspect of our brain and emotional reaction and body issue coming is, again, what the awakening is. It's not how I deal with the moment, it's remembering, oh, I can just go back, step back, how am I going to deal with this? And that is of value. What we're going to keep increasing is the value of that to ourselves. And we will be plain outright told by the world around us that's not valued, that's useless. In fact, it's counter-valuable, because you are no longer a good slave to the system when you start living like that. A boss can't trust you if they don't feel you're gonna cringe. If you're gonna think about what I said and evaluate it, and you might even do what's right, I can't trust you. So we build trust in ourselves with that evaluation. And that becomes the core of the growth, I would say, is me learning to trust. All right, I said I was going to step back. All right. And now it's all crazy. I don't know what to do. And that's all right. I trust because I've seen what it's cleared up in me before. And now here's something new to clear up. I trust. And to me, that corresponds to the faith in the gospel, you know, and I think Jesus' message was so much bigger than what was recorded and conveyed. But there's one story where he actually gets on the patient. He's always saying to the disciples, "Where's your faith? Come on, guy." But this time the guy comes to him and asks for healing, and he says, "Where's your faith? I've been around long enough now. You should know how to do this healing stuff for yourself." I mean, that's what he implies. And he was showing and asking a whole level of trust that is new to the human race. You know, and that's so valuable when you begin to get that, what it's worth to trust ourselves in that good. Because I know that good is my connection to the bigger good. And I just love it. The more we get, the more we get, as he also said.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry, I get excited and jabber on over.
No, it's so good. I enjoy this so much.
I've heard people talk about now, these times, and yet looking back in history, it's always these times.
Yes.
It's always these times. But remarks are being made, and there might be some truth that evolutionary wise, our bodies may be becoming more receptive to the possibility of awakening and able. Whereas maybe 2,000 years ago they were challenged a little bit more with the bodies and the minds they had. I don't know. But it's interesting to be able to read the Bible from that, because it's all there.
Yeah, what I value a lot with Jesus' message was there's a connection to the divine available to you. Start looking for it, start using it, and it'll grow. You know, and like he was breaking through into this collective consciousness and creating, and then he says, and I'll be here holding it open for you. Turn to me in your mind, talk to me, and I will help you with that connection. And that's largely how I experience my idea of Jesus being there. And it's cool. I got a friend and a teacher, a very patient dude that doesn't kick my butt too often. But for myself, I do believe in the collective, and I also believe it includes all life. Just reading this week, they've discovered these pods of a certain kind of whale that now cruise around, and when they see like the killer whales attacking something, they go and chase the killer whales away. They will put seals up on their head and give them rides. They will protect other species of whales that are, and they've just taken on this role of playing, not vigilante, but you know, the good guys of the ocean.
Right.
And I've read other little things where animals do amazingly aware and awake, helpful things for no reason. That's not a benefit to them in that human measuring sense.
Right.
So I'm hoping, I can't say I believe, but I'm really hoping there is a collective awakening. And every minute we sit plugged into our own good, we're streaming more awareness into the whole. And that helps me rest when my body can't any longer do much, or, you know, but it feels so strong and so true. So, and I just trust it.
No, I totally agree, and I feel like with, you know, just the world, we're down, like we're at rock bottom. It's nowhere to go but up at this point. We gotta go up now.
Yeah, I mean, these cycles have just gone over and over every several hundred years. And, you know, for a long time I believed that we could exert an influence and actually change this world, like it will right in front of our eye. Just like the earlier believers in Jesus believed it was going to be right now. Right. He's coming back next week, you know, and the world will be different next week. And it really hurt when I realized that was a belief and it wasn't true. It took me a while to recover, but now that trust in, I feel this good. I feel it wants to be asserting itself everywhere. I'll just help where I can.
Because if we impact one person, we're impacting the world.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be this huge impact. You know, think about how we feel being impacted. To have that same effect on somebody else is huge.
Yeah. We'll just wrap up with a little practice for the week. Try to spot a particular mood or irritation that frequently plagues the mind, and be willing to say to it, it's just a program. So what? It's not important. And the interesting part will be if you try to actually speak those phrases in your mind to that energy. It's just a program. So what? It's not important. And you will feel where you believe otherwise in various parts of your body. So have some fun with that, and we'll get a report back next time. So I'm going to close out the official rope, but we can hang. So. See y'all.